Drinker put out a video about J.J. Abrams, about how he has crashed and burned. And I'm guessing it's going to talk about his rise to greatness and then his subsequent fall from grace. So Drinker always puts out a good video, so let's take a look. Whoop. Wrong button!
You know, plenty of the subjects in my Crash and Burn series have had more spectacular meltdowns or sunk to deeper depths of obscurity, but it's honestly difficult to think of anyone who's fallen quite so far as J.J. Abrams, once hailed as the new Steven Spielberg, the king of big budget blockbusters, a writer, producer...
Why did I know that you would do that, Leo? I should have known you would have done that.
And director so powerful that he could literally bring back franchises from the dead. He wasn't just a golden boy, he was Hollywood royalty. Then in December of 2019, it all came crashing down in one of the most cataclysmic career implosions in the history of cinema. His crash and burn was as meteoric as his rise to fame, so join me once again for Crash and Burn, the J.J. Abrams story. Jeffrey Jacob Abrams was born in New York in...
Well, fuck me! Okay, that was the worst pause of all time, getting fucking flashbanged by Drinker. Oh. I wonder if he's going to bring up one particular show that J.J. Abrams worked on that I actually thoroughly enjoyed.
J.J. Abrams' story. Jeffrey Jacob Abrams was born in New York in 1966, the son of TV producers Gerald Abrams and Carol Ann Abrams. So it's pretty safe to say he was exposed to the entertainment business from a very young age, and pretty soon began to show an interest in filmmaking himself. As a kid, he would write and direct amateur movies with his friends, using an old 8mm camera, mostly focused on science fiction and horror, with lots of gruesome deaths and over-the-top fight scenes. He even entered some of his films into local film festivals along with his friend Matt Reeves, and it's here that fate intervened in young JJ's life. See, he wasn't the only guy to start out making amateur movies on 8mm cameras. Steven Spielberg had done exactly the same thing a couple of decades earlier, and now in 1982 he was looking for someone to restore some of his old work that had been sitting in storage for like 20 years. That's when he happened across a news article about a pair of talented young filmmakers who were making a name for themselves by working in 8mm film. Kathleen Kennedy, who was Spielberg's not particularly talented coffee lady at the time, don't worry about her, I'm sure she won't amount to anything, suggested that they might be the ideal guys to restore his old footage for him. And well, when Steven fuck-mothering Spielberg calls you with a job offer, you thank your lucky stars and say yes. This chance meeting would spark a lifelong friendship.
And where he got his inspiration for his movie Super 8. Yeah.
Between the two, where JJ began to see Spielberg as a kind of mentor figure to him and a role model for his own future career. Pretty soon he threw himself into the industry, and his first major gig was a screenwriter for the 1990 Jim Belushi comedy Taking Care of Business. That film wasn't exactly a big hit, pulling in weak reviews and failing to break even at the box office, but hey, it was a start, I guess. A couple of minor producing and writing gigs followed throughout the 90s, the biggest of which was probably a script treatment for Michael Bay's Armageddon. And keep that name in mind because it'll be important later.
J.J. Abrams did a script treatment for Armageddon? I didn't know that. I kind of liked Armageddon. Like, Armageddon I liked because it was like at the beginning of Michael Bay's like style, where it's like fast paced, fast mouths, you know, Michael Bay was good back when he did like The Rock and when he did Armageddon. He was good back then. And then he got full of himself and fuck me, did he go off the rails.
Anyway, his big break came in 2001 when he co-created the TV show Alias, an espionage thriller about a young woman working as a double agent for the CIA. It was well received and it ran for 5 seasons, but JJ wasn't done there and soon co-created Lost in 2004, which would go on to become one of the most iconic TV shows of the decade before falling.
I'm gonna make a confession, chat. Please don't kill me. I never saw Lost. I never watched Lost. I watched like the first episode, and I got bored. I like I saw the first episode, and I flat out just it bored me, and I didn't watch any more of them. And no, I'm not saying I watched it when it came out. I'm talking about like I watched it on like I think it was on Tubi. I think they have it on Tubi or something. And I watched like episode 1. I'm not even sure I made it through the first episode. And I was just like, this is boring. I'm done. And I never watched it again.
Apart with one of the most disappointing endings in TV history, but that's a whole other story. JJ by now was developing a winning habit of starting major projects with grand aspirations and huge potential, and then handing them off to other people to actually bring them home. Again, keep that idea in mind because it'll definitely be important later. Anyway, by this point, JJ was rapidly climbing up the Hollywood ladder, and in 2006 he made his directing debut with Mission Impossible 3. The franchise was in a bit of a funk after Mission Impossible 2.
Don't remember. Wait, what? Wait, did he say? Hang on.
Debut with Mission Impossible 3. The franchise.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's for me. For a second, I thought it was Mission Impossible. For a second, my brain translated Mission Impossible 3 to Mission Impossible 2. I was like, wait a minute. Fucking John Woo did Mission Impossible 2, but Mission of MI3. Okay, cool.
Was in a bit of a funk after Mission Impossible 2, and although JJ's movie didn't do as well at the box office, it was well received critically, and it laid the groundwork for more sequels, so it's generally seen as the movie that got the franchise back on track. Paramount were definitely happy with his work, and since he'd now developed a reputation for reinvigorating struggling franchises, they had another job for him. Star Trek by this point was a sprawling media franchise that had been running for decades.
What? Are they? Wait a minute! Twinkle! How could you skip over Fringe? How the heck is Draker going to skip over Fringe? Fringe came out before J.J. Abrams rebooted Star Trek. Like, Fringe was a really good show. I liked Fringe. Granted, it fell off in the last season. Like, the first 1, maybe 2 seasons of Fringe, I thought really good. They were really interesting. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Fringe was a TV show that J.J. Abrams heralded. And it had, oh fuck, what's his name? Shit, I gotta look this up. Because I'm gonna hate myself if I forget who this is. Hang on. Let's see. Okay. So, yeah, Fringe was a series that starred, come on, God, work you. Let's see, it starred Anna Torv, Joshua Jackson, and John Noble. And it was basically, it was like a sci-fi. It was a sci-fi show. It was sort of like, kind of like, it kind of took a little bit of its cues from X-Files, but they weren't cops. Well, at least not all of them were. One of them was a cop, but John Noble played a really eccentric genius that operated on what they called fringe science. And his son was estranged from him, but his son was also equally genius. And they come and they join with Anna Torv's character, who is an FBI agent. And they basically did a lot of like, quote unquote, like monster of the week type situations. And it was like really weird, kooky science. And it was really cool. They had some like running through lines. And it was like a really fun and really interesting show. It did kind of fall off towards the end. Like with the last season, it did fall. It was a little convoluted, Gord. Yeah, it was. And unfortunately, it got pretty convoluted in the last season, which is why I say it kind of fell off. But like seasons 1 and 2 were really fun. John Noble was fantastic as Walter. As like one of the lead characters, Walter Bishop. He was really good. And it was a fun show. I really enjoyed it. I'm surprised Drinker didn't bring it up because it was pretty popular.
And now covered TV, movies, games, books, and God knows what else. The problem was, it was getting kind of tired and stale by the late 2000s. After milking the brand for half a century, Paramount were all out of ideas for what to do with it next. What they really needed was a fresh take, something younger, more action-packed and cool that would appeal to a whole new generation. Enter JJ, who partnered up with his buddy Alex Kurtzman. Why did you say that name? To deliver rebooted Star Trek in 2009. Whereas old Trek had been a franchise of ideas, science, philosophy, human potential, and mature diplomacy, JJ's take was explosions, lens flare, cool spaceships, frantic running, yelling, lens flare, and even more explosions. It was a style of writing and filmmaking that I once described as rapid-fire stupidity. The idea that you can get away with the most retarded writing imaginable if you just keep everything constantly moving, constantly bombarding the audience with more noise, more yelling, more running, and more lens flare.
The biggest problem with the Star Trek reboots is they turned Star Trek, which was supposed to be, which is a more thoughtful franchise, about exploration, about like thinking through a problem. That was a big part of Star Trek, is when they encountered a problem, they thought it through. They acted like they acted like military people and scientists. And then J.J. Abrams stepped in and said, "What if we made Star Trek an action franchise?" And so then Star Trek cinematically became a fucking action franchise. Flat out. It was a pure action franchise. And it could be like the first one, it was Michael Bay JJ. It was J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams turned Star Trek into an action franchise. And the first movie, the first Star Trek J.J. Abrams movie was okay. It was kind of fun, and then when it kept repeating itself in the sequels, it just got tiresome. Like, if it had been like a one and done with the super actiony stuff, it could have maybe been forgiven, but now it was like the entire franchise was action, and people were just like, we're fucking done with this.
So overwhelmed by it all that they can't even stop and think about how none of it makes any sense. It was dumb, it was exploitative, and it turned Star Trek into generic sci-fi action slop, but holy shit was it successful. Star Trek was well and truly back, it was relevant and cool again, and with the 2013 sequel Into Darkness, JJ dared to ask the ultimate question. Hey, what if we just did Wrath of Khan all over again, except this time everyone's retarded? Genius.
Yeah. As good of an actor as Benedict Cumberbatch is, he is not Khan. He is not. He could not pull it off. It didn't work. He was not able to get the gravitas of Ricardo Montalban. He just couldn't do it. Yeah, and there was zero build up. It was just like out of nowhere, no build up whatsoever. My name is Khan. And it's like, okay, great. So we're introducing Khan with no fanfare, no nothing. And it just like it didn't work. And they basically did, and they basically literally did a reverse ending of Wrath of Khan. Because instead of Spock dying, Kirk dies, getting the ship moving again by somehow kicking a piece of equipment in the engines, and then the equipment actually falling into place the opposite direction of which he kicked it. Because physics, I guess. And then, of course, Kirk dies, but he's brought back to life with Khan's blood. Because Khan's blood was able to bring a Tribble back to life. And so they used Khan's blood to bring Kirk back to life. And so then he tried to do a reverse Wrath of Khan, except without the consequences. That made Wrath of Khan so fucking compelling. they basically took they took stuff from Wrath of Khan and said, hey, people like this, right? It's one of the most popular Star Trek movies in history because it was such a great film and it had stakes and people actually that we cared about actually died. And what if we took pieces of that, put it into darkness, eliminate the consequences other than killing Pike, which nobody gave a shit about anyway. Let's let's not kill anybody of consequence like in the original Wrath of Khan, and instead do a Deus Ex Machina to kill Kirk, but instantaneously bring him back to life. And Vespasian, to your, I know this wasn't the point you're making, but of course they had to, Kirk did the famous Khan yell that has become so iconic. And then they had Zachary Quinto as Spock do it, and he sounded like a whiny bitch when he did it in Star Trek Into Darkness. They had Zachary Quinto as Spock do the Khan yell, and it sounded like shit. It was just, it sucked. It was terrible. And then Star Trek Beyond was even, let's blow up the Enterprise. People like that, right?
Into Darkness raked in even more money than its predecessor, but the cracks were beginning to show in Abrams' Trek. People were beginning to see it for the empty, creatively bankrupt rehash that it was, and so JJ followed his usual pattern of bailing the fuck out and letting someone else take the reins.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Anyway, he had an appointment with destiny. Paramount weren't the only studio looking to reinvigorate a legacy franchise. Disney had just bought Lucasfilm from old George for a pretty hefty lump of change, and they were looking to kick off a whole new trilogy.
Yes, Clock, I wasn't going to say anything because the Spock from the J.J. Abrams Star Trek was not Spock. They made him too emotional across the board. And yeah, for Spock to just lose his shit like that, no, they were conveniently forgetting he was a Vulcan at that point, and yeah, the character assassinations sucked.
Star Wars movies so they could start printing money again. Oh yeah, and remember that highly opinionated but slightly incompetent coffee lady who once recommended JJ to Steven Spielberg? Well, it turns out she was now in charge of Lucasfilm.
Fuck.
She remembered JJ and soon made him an offer. Ahoy hoy. Hey buddy, you know how you brought Star Trek back to life and made a shitload of money for Paramount? Well, any chance you could do the same for us? No problem, Kathy. And so, in 2015, the world was treated to The Force Awakens. All the J.J. Abrams hallmarks were there for the world to see. The lens flare, the action, the
Okay, I remember the jokes when the first trailer for The Force Awakens came out. The main joke is that when it showed that J.J. Abrams was doing it, the big joke is every time someone fires up a lightsaber in the movie, the whole audience is gonna go fucking blind from the lens flares of the lightsabers. That was the running fucking joke leading up to the premiere. Is okay, the second someone triggers lightsaber, the whole audience is gonna get flashbanged.
It's also odd how post JJ all the ship bridges were Abram-feed even if it makes no sense lore-wise.
Oh, I know, Redman. I know. It's a stain that remained on the franchise. And Total War, thank you for the tier 1. Wait, you remember Boogie cried over the trailer? Seriously? I didn't know that. Huh. And hello, Wolfie. I'm good. How are you?
Running and the shouting, the nostalgia baiting, the rapid fire stupidity. And the funny thing is, people lapped it up. Even Red Letter Media, the guys who made it fashionable to shit on Star Wars for like a decade, couldn't say enough good things about it.
Alright, let me hear what Red Letter has to say.
I loved it. It was everything I hoped it would be.
You sure about that?
Okay. I had a very different opinion of the Force Awakens. I thought the Force Awakens was okay, but the very first thing I thought at the conclusion of it was, so we just did A New Hope all over again. Yeah, exactly, Ryman. That's exactly it. It's like this was literally just rehashing A New Hope with a couple like changes here and there. That was the first thing I thought. Like, the movie itself was okay, but I was like, it's like, where are they gonna go from here? Is the next one gonna be a rehash of Empire Strikes Back? And yes, the infamous Mary suing the ever-living fuck out of Rey. The bane of my existence. God, yes. It's
The Force Awakens bored me at several points. For a Star Wars fan, a Star Wars movie being boring is criminal.
Very correct. Very correct. And Sporty, thank you for the gifted. And what the heck did I just say to make my phone trigger? Okay. What the hell did I do to make my AI trigger on my phone? Jesus. Yeah, it was like The Force Awakens was okay at best, and then the sequel came out. I was like, fuck me. Once the sequel came out, I was like, nope, we're done. Star Wars is dead. After the Last Jedi, nope, the franchise was dead, and then Rise of Skywalker was literally just setting fire to the basically. It was fucking horrible.
Bet you regret that one now, eh, Mike? The movie went on to make the GDP of a small African country at the box office. Star Wars was back, and JJ was by now at the height of his powers, hailed as the new king of Hollywood. Yeah, he was basically serving up generic action slop and shameless nostalgia bait with a thin coating of Star Wars on top, but nobody seemed to know.
By the way, fun fact, for those that don't know, the scene in The Force Awakens, when Rey has been captured and put in the interrogation chair, and then Kylo leaves her alone, and there's that stormtrooper that she's able to Jedi mind trick without any training whatsoever. Oh, mind you, God fucking damn it, I hate Rey. Without any training whatsoever, she's able to Jedi mind trick that stormtrooper. Damn it, Revan, spoilers! I wanted to say it. Why won't you let me do the cool stuff, you beady? He's so mean to me. Yes, the stormtrooper that Rey Jedi mind tricks was Daniel Craig, James Bond himself. He had a bit cameo part as that stormtrooper that Rey Jedi mind tricks. Fun fact. And yes, fuck Rey, she's a fucking Mary Sue. I hate her.
Notice or care. He just set up another massive franchise, laid the groundwork for a sequel, and now it was time to move on. But problems were afoot, dear viewer, and the seeds of JJ's downfall were already being sown. See, for reasons best known only to herself, everyone's favourite coffee lady had decided to hire a relatively unknown director named Rian Johnson for the sequel, The Last Jedi. If JJ was seen as a safe but slightly unimaginative pair of hands, then Rian was the exact opposite. A man who thrived on controversy and provocation, who wanted to take creative risks and subvert expectations. And well, he certainly...
Balmage, it's not even for legal purposes. Like, I have no issues with Daisy Ridley. I don't think she has not proven herself to be a particularly good actress, but I don't have any issue with, with Daisy Ridley as a person. It's not even for legal purposes. It's 100%. I fucking hate the character. I hate the way that they wrote the character. They wrote her as an absolute Mary Sue who can never fail, and fuck her. Well, this passing, that's what scares the shit out of Star Wars fans, is that Jaina and Mara are such good characters. People are terrified right now that Disney might bring them into the Star Wars franchise, and people are absolutely terrified what they will do, because Jaina and Mara are some of the most popular, next to Leia, they are some of the most popular characters in Star Wars history. Like Leia, Jaina, and Mara are basically the Star Wars triumvirate of that great female Star Wars characters that are universally beloved. And that is why Star Wars fans are fucking terrified about bringing Mara into the Star Wars franchise.
Certainly fucking did, that's for sure. There's no easy way to put this. TLJ was a fucking calamity of biblical proportions. Not only did it provoke massive audience backlash, not only did it split the Star Wars fan base so badly that it's never recovered, but it also introduced the dark spectre of identity politics and culture wars into every conversation about the franchise. After a strong opening weekend, the buzz soon died away.
Yeah, so Silver Winter is another female character from Star Wars. She's not as well known. She hasn't received as many accolades. She was God, I've got to try and rack my brain. I think Winter was she a senator that worked with Leia?
After seeing Rey use one of the most advanced Jedi abilities, I suspected she was a Mary Sue in the first sequel movies.
Oh yeah. Well, and don't forget, in the third movie, suddenly she magically knows how to heal. Like, out of fucking nowhere, she can start healing people. It's... Yeah, I fucking hate what they do with Rey. Like, like, not having any training whatsoever, she's able to go toe-to-toe to a draw with Kylo in a lightsaber duel. And she has zero training whatsoever. And all of a sudden, she, with no training whatsoever, she's a better Jedi than Luke. Like, fuck you. Go fuck yourself with that bullshit.
Hey, the box office cratered, and the movie ended up making barely half of Force Awakens total. There was no hiding it now, Star Wars was in trouble, big time. The coffee lady's gamble on Rian Johnson had backfired massively, so much so that her boss had to step in and take control. Hello? Hi JJ, it's Bob here. Listen, we're in a bit of a bind here, old buddy. Ryan went full retard with Last Jedi, and now we have to try and fix it. Any chance you could do us a solid and work that?
Rehelps? I love you. Don't make me time you out, gamer. I will time you out if you start bringing that chant in. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. Oh, Atanashi took that personally.
Oh, JJ magic on the third movie? Well, I don't know, Bob. Perfect, see you Monday. Can't wait to hear your ideas. Bye! Hello? JJ was back on Star Wars, unwilling and unprepared, but back all the same. His task was a daunting one to say the least. Try to unfuck and undo the damage done by Rian Johnson without making it obvious he was doing it, or pissing off TLJ fans, reunite the fractured fanbase, and bring the sequel trilogy to a satisfying conclusion.
By the way, they didn't have a fucking script. The script was literally being written as they were filming the movie. Nobody had any fucking clue where the story was going. They literally made up the entire story of The Last Jedi, or The Rise of Skywalker, on the fly. They literally made the entire movie up on the fly. There was no plan, no script. They just they just made it up as they went around. They pulled everything out of their ass as they made it. And it shows. Like, there was supposed to be a whole storyline with Finn that they basically just shit-canned. Like, the actor was I forget the actor's name that played Finn. She was pissed. He was pissed at how they basically fucked Finn over. Like, he had this whole storyline. Like, there was this whole possibility that he could have been Force sensitive, which would have been awesome. It would have been, yeah, John Boyega. Thank you, Sophie. Yeah. Like, John Boyega fucking hated what they did because Finn had the beginnings of what could have been an awesome story. They were hinting at him being Force sensitive, and realistically, Finn should have been the main character. He 100% should have been the main character because he was interesting. He was conscripted as a stormtrooper, broke free of the conditioning, joined the Rebel Alliance to become the hero. He would have made such a better a better lead character and Jedi than fucking Rey. They literally had it so served up to them on a silver platter, and they went, to quote our esteemed drinker, nah, it'll be fine. And they fucked him over entirely, and Finn spent almost the entirety of the third movie just running around screaming, Rey! Rey! Like, that's all he did the whole fucking movie. And they completely screwed over John Boyega. They even shrunk his appearance on the poster for the Chinese market. When they did the posters for the Chinese market, they shrunk him severely on the poster, so he looked like he was a side character. They fucked him over so bad. It's not even funny. And John Boyega was pissed. Justifiably pissed.
All in the space of a single movie. This was going to require every ounce of creativity, imagination, and writing skill that he could bring to bear. The risks were terrifying, but the rewards would be immense. He'd go down in history as the guy who saved Star Wars not once, but twice. The trilogy, the franchise, his own career, it all depended on Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh God, oh man!
Yeah, so that didn't happen. If possible, Rise of Skywalker would turn out to be an even bigger disaster than The Last Jedi, costing way more to make but earning hundreds of millions of dollars less at the box office, and getting absolutely savaged by critics in the process. It did succeed in uniting the fan base at least, just not in the way JJ had intended. His strategy of trying to please everyone with a combination of cheap nostalgia bait, simplistic fetch quest storytelling, and a tediously predictable final battle resulted in an end product that felt like it had been written by AI, told to take absolutely no risks whatsoever. Even the rapid-fire stupidity wasn't working anymore. People were starting to see through the dumb as fuck writing and the single-sentence explanations for the most wild plot events.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Oh my God, that line. Oh my, yeah. And we must not forget, the way, do you guys remember how Palpatine was reintroduced into the franchise? Do you guys remember how they facilitated it?
If you try to please everyone, you'll end up pleasing no one. This is a basic fact of life.
This is true. And one they failed to learn. They did. They reintroduced Palpatine into the franchise via a voiceover during a Fortnite event. During a Fortnite event, there's this, they have the Falcon like come in and do like a flyby where it lands and takes off, and then you hear Palpatine's voice. I forget what the fuck he said, but he was saying something. It was Palpatine's voice saying something as the Falcon was flying away in literally Fortnite. And that is how they reintroduced Palpatine. So if you did not play Fortnite, or if you did not watch any of the video footage regarding this in Fortnite, this right here, where Poe goes, somehow Palpatine returned, you'd be like, the fuck? When the fuck did this happen? The stupidity of this franchise and this company knows no bounds.
Oh, come on! The fallout from Rise of Skywalker was enormous. It was the final nail in the coffin of the sequel trilogy, and so far at least, the end of Star Wars at the movie theaters. From then on, the franchise would retreat to TV in the wake of this failure, where it's been slowly cannibalizing itself into cultural irrelevance over the past 5 years. But for JJ...
Rey Palpa. I mean Skywalker.
No, Revan, say it correctly, Rey Palpatine. Say it proper. It's Rey Palpatine. And say what you will about Angry Joe. I know a lot of people don't like Angry Joe. I think he's fine, honestly. Angry Joe made a very good point in his review of Rise of Skywalker. Is why not have her own? Yeah, why not have some people? Some people don't, Zab. That's why I said some people don't. I've seen plenty of people like that have made comments about it. I think in a couple of my videos where I may have mentioned it, people have said that they hate Angry Joe. I don't know. I think Joe's fine. I don't agree with some of the takes he's had, but I think he is just fine. Video games and movie. He's a video game and movie critic, Zab. He does movies too. And he did Rise of Skywalker, and he made a very excellent point, which was, why not have Rey own the Palpatine moniker? That the Palpatine moniker has been associated with evil for so long. Why not have her reclaim that and turn it into something good? Why not reclaim the name of Palpatine in the name of the light, in the name of good? But no, she had to steal Luke Skywalker's last name at the end of the movie. She had to steal the Skywalker name instead of saying, like, I'm Rey Palpatine and fucking owning that family name for good. Own it and you know, like, take claim of it and said, I'm going to reclaim this name for the light side, for the Jedi. Like, that would have been good. But no, Disney was all about shitting all over the legacy characters. That's like, literally, that's what the Star Wars sequels did. The whole purpose of the Star Wars sequels was to literally shit all over the legacy of Star Wars and then stand on top of that pile of shit to try and boost themselves.
The repercussions were absolutely devastating. Almost overnight, he went from Spielberg's heir apparent to a modern-day Ed Wood, his name forever linked with the disaster of Rise of Skywalker. Star Wars had carried him.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Draker, I'm pausing on. Yes, Squeaky, that has been one of the biggest complaints I've had. We did not get a single scene with all of the legacy characters together before Carrie Fisher died. Not one. We had Luke, we had Leia, we had Han, we had Lando, and we had Chewie. And we did not get one scene with all of them together. There was like a promotional shot. I do know that they did like a promotional shot with all three of them in the cockpit. I think they did a promotional shot of all three of them in the cockpit of the Falcon, I think. But we never got one scene with all of them together. Not one. And that was an absolute travesty of filmmaking that we didn't get all of them together again. For fuck's sake, Luke never even reunited with his sister. Like, okay, there was the force projection thing. Fuck that. Luke never even got the chance to reunite with his sister before he died. And we didn't get them as like Force Ghosts finally coming together as a family because Carrie Fisher had died before it could be done. Well, and Adachi, Leia was a Jedi. She trained to be a Jedi. She just quit before the conclusion. It's like, so much fucking wrong with the movie. And what really pissed me off is so many people that complained and said, so many people that were pissed about the fact that we did not get at minimum the trio or the quad team back together again at any point during the movie. And people were like, oh, you're just hating. Why do you have to hate so much? You fucking you fucking whatever ism they decided to throw at people that complain about it. It's like, bitch, this is the OG quad group. This is the OG Star Wars crew. Yes, we're going to be fucking pissed when at no point whatsoever through the entire trilogy are they ever together in the same place. Yes, we're going to be pissed, and fuck you if you have a problem with it.
his name forever linked with the disaster of Rise of Skywalker. Star Wars had carried him to the very pinnacle of success, only to pull him down into the deepest valley of failure, and in the 6 years since this film came out, he hasn't written or directed a single movie. His list of unrealized projects is now longer than Hassan Piker's list of TOS violations, but unlike Hassan, I actually don't think that JJ's a bad guy. In fact, his only real shortcoming is having aspirations that far outstrip his abilities. He's a Michael Bay kind of filmmaker at heart, good at lightweight spectacle and fast-paced action, but hardly some deep-thinking artist with important stuff to say. The problem is, he desperately wanted to be seen as some visionary filmmaker, the next Steven Spielberg, the guy who would define the next generation of big-budget movie making. And well, much as I hate to say this, he just wasn't that guy. Will he ever recapture the magic and claw his way out of director's jail? Well, he's got one movie in the works at least. Ghostwriter, a fantasy film with a half-decent cast, so maybe there's a chance at redemption for him. And you know what? Maybe he deserves it. There probably is a world where he has a decent career as a mid-level action director. Sci-fi thrillers, epic war movies, maybe the occasional superhero flick. A guy who understands his limitations, plays to his strengths, and develops a good reputation for delivering competent, if slightly unspectacular end products. Right now though, he's more like a walking example of the Dunning-Kruger effect, and a cautionary tale about how you can only hide your shortcomings for so long before people finally figure out who and what you are. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Thank you, Draker. Yeah, that was, JJ did have a meteoric fall. Drinker's hopeful? I don't know. I legit don't know if J.J. Abrams is ever going to be able to come out of this again. Maybe if they gave, like, I could see J.J. Abrams being good, give him some action movies to fuck with. Give him some mid-level action movies, like a war flick or something. Maybe he'd do okay. Who knows? I don't know. We will have to wait and see if JJ can come back from this. Hang on. I'm gonna show you guys the Star Wars event. Let me see. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Got it. Alright, so this is the Fortnite event. Oh, and sure then, thank you for the follow. This was the Fortnite event. That was the only thing that people got about Palpatine. This was in Fortnite, so this was a Fortnite event. That basically was the only thing regarding Palpatine.
At last the work of generations is complete. The great error is corrected. The day of victory is at hand. The day of revenge. The day of the Sith.
That's it. That's it. And the theory behind that is that apparently was canon to Star Wars, and the theory is that using the Force, Palpatine gave that message to the entire galaxy through the Force. So using the Force, he basically broadcast that message to the entirety of the galaxy. That's it. That's all audiences got as an explanation for Palpatine returning. And for anybody that doesn't fucking play Fortnite, they would have no fucking clue what happened. They would have absolutely no fucking clue what happened if they did not play Fortnite or if they didn't see the video from the video from this. So when Poe goes, somehow Palpatine returned, people would be like, the fuck? Where did this come from? So, yeah.